we've been talking about up to this time is the process itself, the biological importance of it, how it all developed. But let's just look at then how you inoculate with rhizobium. What is the history of this? Well, first of all, legumes were known for their importance, especially their protein value, as far back as the Roman Empire. The Romans actually, for both the livestock as they spread through their empire with their armies, actually brought crops like alfalfa with them and fed their livestock with it. But also, even in the Roman days, they knew about the grains and how important things like chickpeas and stuff were to their diet. So legumes were known important, and I think they were known, maybe they didn't know they were getting protein at that time, but they definitely were producing protein. It wasn't until about the 1800s, though, that when, during a golden era, especially of microbiology, that some European scientists found out that the nodules were extremely important on the legume roots. If they did not have nodules on those roots, they saw that the crop did not grow well, especially didn't produce good protein. Actually, after that, another set of scientists did find out that they could isolate a specific rhizobium bacteria from these nodules. And that's why they knew there was a very specific relationship with the rhizobium and the crop, as well as the rhizobium being able to nodulate, which was the most important thing. So what this did, though, was allow then, especially during, this is the industrial era from the 1800s, it allowed us to think about, if they were already producing fertilizers and stuff like this, that they could actually then, on scale and in an industrial way, produce rhizobium to be applied on the seed or on the crop. If we look at that sequence of how to deliver, that's a more historical sequence of how we delivered rhizobium then as inoculation. First of all, farmers had known really before even the 1800s that if they were going to successfully grow a legume crop, they needed to take soil from the area where the crop had previously been successfully grown. They already knew that they had to take some soil, spread it on the new land, and then plant their legume crop. They were actually doing primitive inoculation. So, can you imagine with this soil, using soil as your inoculation method, can you imagine somebody today with 1,000 herd cow dairy and all the land to support that, having to move soil around like that? So it was, and the importance too of once they isolated the causative agent of being rhizobium bacteria, it was easier just to grow up in very high numbers in batches and then apply those. So the next step then was to move away from this very traditional way of moving some soil around to actually producing what's called inoculum. Very industrial, on a more industrial scale. And it's industrial and it's science-based. They could deliver, by then they knew a lot more about that there was the specificity of the legume crop, very specific legume crops needed very specific rhizobium. And then even within those rhizobium there was efficiencies. Some of those didn't fix a lot of nitrogen. They weren't very good in the infection process. So delivering the right strains of the right species to the right crop became the process of inoculation. And they did it with different inoculation methods. Mainly they grew it up on peat. They grew high numbers of these rhizobium on peat-based inoculum. They tried to stick it on the seed or put it in the planter box. And when they did that, there was a lot of failures, unfortunately. So really these first two, this one and this production of a peat-based or high numbers of rhizobium, they had to rely on the farmer to do it. Now that farmer has a lot to do. Can you imagine again in our example of a farmer with 1,000 head dairy having to worry about you know, does he have the right rhizobium, and is it still viable? Is it still, you know, he's got too much to worry about right now. So the next logical step then was to pre-inoculate the seed. And when they did that, that worked pretty well. Again, what we're doing here in pre-inoculation is we're putting that more of the responsibility in the hands, instead of the farmers, into the hands of the seed companies. Well, the seed companies don't want to fail either. So when they pre-inoculated and just pre-inoculated the seed, it was very important then that you get it to the farmer with as many viable rhizobium as they could, and also to have it flow through the seed planter in a very efficient manner. And some of the early pre-inoculation wasn't quite as good as they wanted it to be, both in delivery of large numbers of bacteria as well as flowing through the seed. So pre-inoculation was a nice step, again, from moving the responsibility from the farmer to the seed company. And but it did have some problems of again, sometimes the bacteria would die during the process of going all the way from the seed bagging all the way to the process of actually planting the seed and flowing through the seed bag, through the seeder itself. Some of this is still practiced today. Some only pre-inoculate seed. The next step and the real state-of-the-art move was to go to coated seed, to actually not only pre-inoculate the seed, but to coat it with usually a coating of some type, a polymer of some type that did a couple of things. First of all, it protected the rhizobium in a coat. It actually created a little environment where they could live in there in high numbers without dying. They also, you could put things in that coat that might have been beneficial, some lime to get a little nice little pH.